DJI is still flying high over the U.S. skies.
Drone maker DJI, they are hitting big here in the U.S.
A leading Chinese drone maker is changing the game,
warning that drones that are made here in China potentially could be collecting data and sending it back to mainland.
After all the back and forth banning, blaming, and even stopping production, DJI remains the top drone company of U.S. market. Though the authorities allowed them into the market, they now see this Chinese drone company as a possible security threat. The Department of Defense says these CCP-linked drones could risk national security and public safety. And why not? We've already seen drones being used heavily on the front lines of the Russia-Ukraine war. And all these facts are making the conversation about DJI's potential ban. However, it actually started way back in 2017, when the U.S. military also got involved. So now, the big questions are, does DJI really pose a serious threat to the U.S.? And why is everyone suddenly in a hurry to ban them? Well, forget everything you know, because now we're about to tell DJI's story in a way that no one ever told. But before we go back to when all this started, you better know what DJI is holding right now. Even after facing the Countering CCP Drones Act in 2024, DJI still controls a massive part of the U.S. drone market. They own around 90% of the hobby drone space, 70% of the industrial sector, and over 80% of the first responder market. Their drones are literally everywhere. Farmers, filmmakers, and even U.S. military units are using them for training. Back in 2017, even when DJI was still seen as just a startup, they acquired Hasselblad, which was a real upgrade of their camera technology. And if that's not enough, some reports even say these drones are being used by both sides in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war for surveillance, targeted strikes, and even spreading propaganda. So now, you can imagine just how deep DJI's roots go. And it all began back in 2006 in Shenzhen. Frank Wang, a 26-year-old student at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. He wasn't exactly a top-grade guy, but he had always loved flying model planes. In 2005, during a robotics competition, Frank's skills caught the attention of Professor Li Zexiang. Frank's team won third place and received a $35,000 grant. That cash became the spark behind DJI. With a few close friends, Jinying Chen, Jihui Lu, and Chuqiang Chen, Frank founded the Dajiang, which means Great Frontier in Chinese. A small office in a small corner inside his uncle's magazine warehouse. It wasn't any nit of startup, it was a team of broke students. When money got tight, a family friend named Lu Di helped them out with a $90,000 loan. Then DJI was flying slowly, but couldn't reach the peak. By 2009, some of the early team members, like Jinying Chen, left and even started rival companies. At this point, Frank called in his high school friend, Swift Zijia. Swift believed in the vision so much that he sold his apartment and bought into DJI. With support from Professor Li, who connected them to top university talent, they managed to keep things moving. Still, the money coming in was barely enough, just around $100,000 a year. And then came the breakthrough. DJI flew a drone near the peak of Mount Everest. It was a bold and risky move, but it worked. The stunt gained global attention, and hobbyists around the world started showing interest in DJI's gear. Everything started to change in 2013 when they launched the Phantom One. This wasn't one of those clunky, hard-to-use gadgets. It was a smooth, good-looking quadcopter priced at $1,000, and it came with a camera. For the first time, regular people could fly a drone and take amazing videos from the sky. The Phantom even showed up in popular shows like South Park. Sales took off almost overnight. DJI's revenue shot up from $100 million in 2012 to a massive $500 million by 2014. In the same year, Sequoia Capital China invested $30 million. A year later, Axel came in with another $75 million, and DJI's value jumped to somewhere between $8 and $10 billion. By then, Frank Wang was just 35, but he had already become Asia's youngest tech billionaire. And today, DJI has grown into a massive company with roughly 14,000 employees and has 17 offices internationally. During the whole time, Frank and his close team managed to keep a strong grip on the company, which is pretty rare in the startup world. Now, if you say, how'd DJI just show up in the US? We would say they didn't. They basically took over. By 2017, their drones made up around 90% of all consumer and commercial drones sold in America. You could find them everywhere, on movie sets in Hollywood, flying over farms in the middle of nowhere, even being used by US government agencies. And even the US military, known for being super secretive, was using DJI drones for training and special missions. So how did a Chinese company pull this off in America, of all places? Well, they played it smart. DJI opened a US office in California, hired American staff, and introduced special government edition drones that didn't connect to the internet. And they've also kept the prices super low. For example, their DJI Neo costs about $200, while American-made alternatives could go for $1,000 or more. Now, even though the Pentagon officially banned DJI drones in 2017 over concerns about cybersecurity, some military units still used them because there just weren't any better options. So what happened? Why wasn't DJI banned like Huawei or TikTok? Back then, drones didn't look like a big data threat. Unlike phones or apps, DJI's early drones weren't seen as tools that could steal or leak data. And when people did raise concerns, DJI responded fast. They added a local data mode, so nothing would be sent online. And they even passed third-party audits that said there were no data leaks. Basically, they stayed under the radar while the US went after bigger names. However, things weren't always smooth. In 2013, Frank had a falling out with DJI's US team, led by Colin Ginn. The disagreement led to DJI shutting down its North American office temporarily and locking employees out of company systems. Although they later settled things quietly, it was clear that Frank ran the company with a firm hand. So DJI was a simple drone company in eerie days. But now, things are different. Their drones are way smarter. They've got AI, cameras, Wi-Fi, everything. They collect all kinds of data, from flight logs to photos. And that's what making US government worry that DJI drones might send important information, like where they fly or the pictures they take, back to China without the user knowing. In 2017, the Navy found some security problems with DJI drones, and other agencies warned about risks too. Even though the Army banned DJI drones because of this, some groups kept using them with special software to try to block data from being sent. DJI says users control the data and offers ways to stop sharing it. But since DJI doesn't show all their software openly and China's laws are strict, many still don't fully trust them. Another worry is that DJI drones can easily spy on important places like military bases or power plants. They're small and have great cameras, so they can fly quietly and get a lot of information. In early 2025, DJI even took away some limits that stopped drones from flying over sensitive spots, which made some people more worried. The FBI and lawmakers think this could let people spy on critical places. The military uses DJI drones for training and some missions, which could risk secrets getting out. In 2022, the Pentagon said DJI is a Chinese military company, meaning it helps China's army. Research showed DJI got money from Chinese government groups linked to the military. DJI drones were also used by police in Xinjiang to watch Uyghur people, which is controversial. DJI says they're a private company and not linked to the military, and they even sued the Pentagon over the label. But since it's hard to know exactly who owns DJI, many people worry they could be controlled by China's government. And recently, we've seen the DJI's advanced drones used in the Russia-Ukraine war. Apart from DJI, both the Russian and Ukrainian armies have been attacking each other using small FPV drones capable of destroying million-dollar tanks in seconds. These drones, which cost only around $200 to $300, can cause massive destruction, all without making any noise. In the future, if DJI ever gets involved in such war scenarios, the situation could become even more dangerous as their drones are becoming more advanced day by day. And if you look at the political and economic side of things, the Chinese drone company controls most of the drone market, so a large number of people in the US rely on it. We've already seen tensions rise during the recent tariff war, and if relations between the two countries get worse, the US could definitely be in trouble. That's one of the reasons why the authorities are pushing to ban DJI, hoping people will shift to American alternatives. But the truth is, there's nothing out there right now that can match DJI's level of efficiency. So if they actually get banned, it's the US companies that might end up suffering the most. DJI is also making waves in the camera industry. Their drones offer high-quality shots at much lower prices, which is why so many content creators like YouTubers, filmmakers, and documentary makers are switching to these compact drones instead of using traditional cameras or expensive helicopter setups. So DJI's story actually is like two different pages of a book. One page tells you about the super impressive aerial shots, high technology, amazing controls, and endless innovation. But the other page keeps some secrets, like national security threats, access to confidential military coordinates, worst-case use scenarios, and collecting data from US citizens. Basically, your point of view will tell you what DJI is, a sky-dominating innovator or a secret Chinese spy company.